Good evening, this is the Northern Sun Experience. We're at the Sanford Pentagon. The Northern Sun Intercollegiate Basketball Tournament just wrapped up. Here with our color analyst for all 6 games that we broadcast, Brad Newitt. And Brad, let's start with the men. A title rematch, Augustana against Minnesota State Moorhead, and it's deja vu. Augie comes out on top.
Yeah, their second straight tournament title. They follow up the regular season title that they got this year, and they just did it in a dominant way, like they've done all year. You look at their margin of victory in the NSIC games. They were winning their games by almost 20 a game, and they really did a nice job of just playing their style of basketball. Tom Billeter had his guys ready to go, and you kind of get the feeling they're really peaking at the right time here heading into the now the NCAA tournament. Yeah,
the game was pretty much close throughout. However, they got Isaac Sievely in foul trouble. He fouled out with 12 minutes to go.
That was a huge turning point in the game, and partially because Moorhead was really depleted already. They had some key injuries on their team. They really only played 6 guys in the game, and so when Sievely lost to foul trouble with that much time remaining, it was going to be very difficult. But Moorhead, to their credit, they stayed in the game even after that happened, but in the end, it was really just too much Augustana. Casey Schilling doing a great job of doing what he does well, scoring the basketball, rebounding the basketball for the Vikings.
Yeah, Casey Schilling, your tournament MVP, Dan Jansen on the tournament team. Those two, along with Richter, it just seems they can hit from anywhere on the floor. And as you said, they seem to be peaking at the right time, but they were also peaking at the right time last year. Once they got into that central region, they were upset in the second round. So how do they avoid that this year?
Well, I think, first of all, they know a little bit more what to expect. You know, that was kind of their first time hosting it, kind of being the favorite team. They're going to be that again, but I think being through it one time really helps this group. And there's something, too, about, I think, to be said, it's their senior year, and they know this is it. This is what they've been preparing for. And in my opinion, Augustana, they're the type of team, Dave. I mean, they have the type of personnel, the ability, the makeup, the chemistry to go a long way and possibly win a national championship. There's a lot of steps in between that. It starts with the regional, though.
Well, heading into this tournament, the region rankings, Augustana was first. Winning the conference championship means they're going to host the region. Minnesota State Moorhead third. They shouldn't drop maybe at all or shouldn't drop very much. Minnesota State was fifth. Could they be on the bubble considering they lost earlier in the tournament?
That's not a great spot for them to be in, especially with the early exit. It's going to depend a lot on what the other conference tournaments have. Minnesota State doesn't want to see a lot of upset tournament winners. They want the higher seeded teams in those other conferences to probably win those conference tournaments. I think being fifth going in, you're got to be safe if you're the Mavs, but it's going to be maybe a few sleepless nights for Matt Morgenthaler until Sunday.
Well, Augustana and Minnesota State Moorhead definitely in for the Central Region Tournament, which starts next week. Moving over to the women's side, University of Sioux Falls, their first women's championship, and they defeat Augustana in front of a packed house. How great was that? Sioux Falls and Augie in Sioux Falls for the conference championship.
It was an unbelievable environment here at the Sanford Pentagon, and the NSIC did a great job again running a first-class tournament. There's a lot to be proud of there, and the turnout was great. It was an awesome atmosphere, really for almost every session here. The local teams, fans really turned out, and those that traveled did as well too.
Augustana had a 3-point lead at halftime of this championship game, but then it seems like the fatigue set in. Augie had that huge win over Winona State in overtime in the semifinals. Sophie Kenny played 43 of a possible 45 minutes. She was the catalyst all tournament long, and it seems the Vikings finally hit a wall in that third quarter against USF.
You could really tell. That's when their legs gave out. And you look at how Augustana plays, David. They're a high-octane team, and by that I mean they like to go in transition offensively. They play pressure defense. They press for a lot of the game. That takes a lot of energy to do that, and it just really seemed to me that Augustana, they couldn't muster what it took to continue to play that style effectively for the entire game here tonight in the championship game.
USF got a lot of contributions from different players. Klostergaard, Connect, Maureen Malloy had some nice minutes off the bench. But the NSIC Player of the Year and the tournament MVP, Taylor Varsho, there's a reason why she was the Player of the Year.
Yeah, she hit tough shots without question. Big shots, too, and her team really needed it. She was great from the three-point line in the championship here game tonight. And what more can you say? I mean, what a fantastic career she's had at USF after transferring from Colorado State. And they're not done yet, obviously. They're going to be in the NCAA tournament, and who knows what height she can take this team to from there.
Well, looking at the Central Region rankings again, these were the rankings February 24th. USF was on the outside looking in. They were 9th. Northern was 7. Moorhead was 8. Sioux Falls 9. Augie 10. Winona State was up there 3rd, even though they had the loss in the semifinals. Winona State should be in. USF is in now because of the conference tournament victory. But that cluster at the bottom, what do you think is going to happen?
Boy, that's going to be a tough call for this selection committee. How much do you weigh into the conference tournament? If you weigh a lot in, I think Augustana deserves some heavy consideration. They went on a great tournament run. You defeat Winona State. That's a great win on their resume. Well, I don't want to be. I don't envy their position. That's going to be a really, really tough decision. And for those teams, another thing, they really want to, again, hope that there's no major upsets in the other conferences in this region. They need the higher seeds to win. Boy, it would be great, though, to see the Northern Sun get 4 teams in.
Well, we shall find out soon enough. Well, when we come back on the Northern Sun Experience, we'll talk with the winning USF head coach, Travis Traphagen.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience, joined by USF head coach Travis Traphagen. Coach, congrats on the victory.
Thanks. What a fun day for USF and all of our fans. Had a battle with Augustana here today, and there for a while in the first half. It was kind of ugly basketball. Both teams guarding each other very, very well. More of a defensive game, and then in the third quarter, we finally kind of got a rhythm going. And again, just really excited for our program, our university, and really, a lot of our players. I know this means a lot to them.
Well, one special player that's been special for you all season long, Taylor Varsho, the NSIC Player of the Year, tournament MVP. Yeah. She can just pretty much hit from anywhere on the floor. She was just bombing those from NBA range all tournament.
Yeah, and we kind of had about a 4-game stretch where people were really just trying to take her away. And then I think you probably saw that's when Sam Connect and Allison Klostagard kind of started. You got to have balance on a team. But if you really want to win championships, you got to have one kid you can go to. Before our game, I had a chance to sit and watch the Augie men against Moorhead. And, hey, credit goes to Augustana's men. Congratulations on the men's championship. But when you got a Dan Jansen, a Keisha Schilling, and a Alex Richter, it makes the game a little bit easier at times. And she's our go-to kid that, sometimes when you're a small guard, we ask her to do a lot. You got to be pretty athletic and pretty shifty to be able to get your shot off the way she does. But it's not always just done on the offensive end of the floor. She was also all defensive team, led our team in steals, lots of things. So she'll be a tough one to replace. But again, very, very proud of her. And just to see her, we're not done yet, but for her to fulfill some of the goals that she had as an individual and as a team, it was pretty special to see those kids, the excitement and the joy they had on their face.
Well, specifically with this championship game, you're down by 3 at halftime. Yeah. And then it seemed that Augie, all that fatigue from the overtime game, it seemed to caught up. They just hit a wall in the third quarter, and you guys just outscored them tremendously.
Yeah, and it's funny. I think if you talk to Coach Krauth as well, momentum's a funny thing. We certainly didn't have it going into halftime. We fouled a 3-point shooter, and we were in some pretty big foul trouble. We were just, honestly, if you want me to be truthful, trying to survive until halftime. We had, 3 of our players with 2 fouls, and we had some different rotations in. And we came out in the second half, and we really just talked to our kids at halftime about we just got to win one half of basketball to be conference champions. That was our message. You got to win one half of basketball. And how hungry are you, and how bad do you want it? And I'm probably way more of a defensive-minded coach than I am an offensive-minded coach, and I was always taught defense wins championships, and when you can hold somebody to under 30% shooting, you're going to give yourself an opportunity. And sometimes, they miss some shots, but I also think we contested a lot of shots. So, again, just very, very proud that sometimes I can be honest with you, I'm not the easiest coach in the world to play for. I'm an emotional guy, but we try to keep things simple. And one word we use in our program a lot is accountability. We don't change who we are a lot. This is who we are, and you got a job to do. And when our kids do it the right way, we're pretty good. So as a coach, that's all I can ask for. They went out and competed, played as hard as they possibly could, and at the end of the day, they got rewarded with a conference championship.
I don't know how much you'll admit, but when you fell to 9th in the Central Regional rankings last week, after 2 road victories, however the formula works, you were on the outside looking in. Now, obviously, you've secured your place by winning the conference, but in the back of your mind, did that give you any sort of extra motivation? Not that you needed it, but did it give them maybe a little extra boost?
It's a good question. Some coaches try to hide behind, don't talk about it, this, that. I'm pretty upfront with our kids, just saying, hey, we lose, we're done. I mean, we knew that we were playing really against Northern States, Moorhead, and Augie to be able to get in. And right now, like I said, I was kind of shocked myself that we dropped, after winning 2 games. But again, that's to take nothing away from the Moorhead and the Northern that moved ahead of us. I mean, they've had fantastic years as well. And when you don't understand how the rankings work, sometimes you just got to say, you know what, it's on us now. We knew coming into the tournament, you kind of had to go farther than the other teams if you wanted to give yourself a chance. And that's kind of how we talked about it. And after we got Crookston's win, it was a nice win for us. We kind of executed our game plan nicely, what we wanted. And all of a sudden to play a Northern State team. And I grew up in Aberdeen and have known Coach Fred for a long, long time. There's nobody better at coaching than him. So to be honest with you, I was a little bit nervous playing against Northern. And again, Marie Malloy kind of sparked us in that third quarter again. And we really got going. And then tonight, to say it comes full circle, where I kind of started my first full-time coaching position anyway at Augie to play against a very good team. And, and honestly, there's a rivalry. I think our kids, their kids and our kids like each other, but they also hate each other. Just that's what a rivalry is supposed to be about. And to be able to say that you get the upper hand in that, for whatever it's worth, sometimes that's bragging rights for a year. But again, it's not about us against Augie or us against Northern. It's about USF being conference champions. And I just say that because our kids deserve all the credit. They've put a lot of time in a weight room, a lot of time on the basketball court, early mornings, putting up with Coach a lot when he's not very happy. But when you can see them with their smile on their face and cutting nets down and just enjoying it, I think that's why we all get into coaching.
All right, perfect. Thanks a lot, Travis, and congratulations.
Thank you.
When we come back on the Northern Sun Experience, we'll talk with the winning men's coach, Augustana's Tom Billeter.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience here at the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls. Augustana's men win their 2nd straight NSIC Tournament championship. And at halftime of the women's game, our own Jeff Harkness caught up with the winning coach, Tom Billeter.
Got a special group of seniors. I hope I'm sitting here next year. But I've got a really good crew that they just want to play as long as they can and keep playing together. They're great kids.
Were you surprised to see a Moorhead zone?
No, they 28 possessions zoned against us when we played them at Moorhead, and they have a couple injuries, this and that. They needed to shorten the game, especially when Sevely got in a little bit of foul trouble. It was a smart thing to do. I mean, they did everything they could do. They did everything right, and they're going to be very good in the regional, but we were not surprised with it. What happens with zone, you really don't play against it that much all the time unless you're playing Syracuse, and we have not played Syracuse. And, so you miss open shots, and it's kind of like, gosh, we always make that shot, but we didn't this time. Well, there's a lot of, that's what's so successful about zone. So we just kind of hung in there the best we could, Jeff. And, I got to admit, though, there's a couple Al Richter shots, and I'm going, gosh, he never misses that shot. So I really compliment Chad. I thought they did a great job of what they had to do to hang in with the game with a couple injuries and different things and foul trouble with Sevely.
Yeah, and then he has to go to the bench, and then, of course, there's that situation there with the foul and the technical, and then he gets his 4th, and he comes in quickly, gets his 5th. And you think at that point, okay, it's gut check time for these guys, and Aaron Lean stepped up and really took the team on his back and had a career high.
I'm going to tell you something as a staff that we talked about. When that happened, we almost went, now they're going to start firing up threes. And you saw some of the threes they made, and if you'd have watched our game at their place, the last 3 or 4 threes they made from, like, 80 feet. I mean, they're amazingly good shooters. So we were almost, because we like Dan's matchup with Isaac. We really do. And I think they're 2 of the best in the country. I think Isaac Sevely's a great player, and they have made him a great player. But we're fine when he's in the game. We don't hate that. When they start bombing threes, we're like, good Lord, and they can really make shots. So it was both ways. It really was. It was kind of a mixed, but he is a great player.
Casey Schilling, just shy of a triple-double tonight and another tournament MVP award for Casey.
Well, you know, and Dan deserved it during the season, but Casey did too. And the coaches vote on it. Both had the opportunity to win it. I voted for Isaac Sevely, so, and you can't vote for your own. And you know, awards are great, this and that, but I'm so happy for Dan, but I'm so happy for Casey to, you know, have that award and stuff like that too. And you know, and Dan's still all tournament, and they're just such good friends, and they've got great chemistry. Just a special group. I will be missing them a year from now, but I love rebuilding, and I love the freshman class we have coming in. And, you know, that's the beauty of what we do every day is something new, something different, and exciting as you can make it.
What did your team learn from that region experience last year that they can take forward into this season?
Everybody keeps saying, you know, first of all, I've had 500 people tonight tell me they have their reservations in Frisco, Texas. And I remember the loss to Northwest Missouri. And I'll never forget when we lost to Northwest by a point, I told our team, as sick as you feel right now, don't ever not forget this moment because next year this should drive you.
Yeah.
And they're good. They're a good team. But, you know, we know what's ahead of us, and we can talk about it now. But those are hard games. I mean, you know, it's not easy to do this all the time. And when you start playing teams from other regions and whatever, it's fun. But they're good. They're really good. So, you know, last year everybody expected us to win the region. I think the most thankful thing is being back. I did not want to go back to Northwest Missouri and play again. So we're happy where it's at, but we have to take care of business. And I think we're playing better again. I think we hit a lull, but we have to continue to get better, and it's our consistency of our defense.
Well, when we come back, basketball wasn't the only NSIC championship this weekend. Highlights and results from indoor track and field, as well as Super Region 3 wrestling, are next.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience here at the Sanford Pentagon. Well, thanks to Augustana's men winning the NSIC championship, the Central Region tournament will no doubt be hosted here. But it was the Elman Center on Augustana's campus that hosted another tournament this past weekend, and that was Super Region 3 wrestling. Let's take a look at some of the highlights. The NSIC dominated the tournament, taking home crowns in 7 of the 10 weight classes. At 125, St. Cloud State's Brett Velasquez took down Upper Iowa's Malik Williams in a back-and-forth affair. And while both wrestlers would qualify for nationals, Velasquez would earn the region title. At 165, another Husky prevailed as Clint Poster, the #1 wrestler in the country, wins a close contest against Lindenwood University's Kyle Jolis. And at 184, Augustana's Arrow Amo takes home the region championship on his home mat, topping St. Cloud State's Uthman Rabu. All in all, 21 NSIC wrestlers would qualify for nationals at the Denny Sanford Premier Center next week. 7 from St. Cloud State, 6 from Upper Iowa, 4 from Minnesota State, and 1 each from Augustana, MSU Moorhead, Northern State, and Southwest Minnesota State. Now, in addition to the NSIC's basketball championships, the conference's indoor track and field championships also took place this past weekend in Mankato, Minnesota, where several records were broken. On the men's side, Elijah Pitchford of St. Cloud State set a new record in the triple jump with a mark of just over 49 feet. Meanwhile, Keegan Sarda from Augustana set a 5,000-meter run record, and Minnesota State's Miles Hunter shattered the 60-meter hurdle record with a time of 7.69 seconds. On the women's side, more history. Minnesota Duluth's Emily Tross set a new conference record in the mile run by 9 seconds with a time of 4:44.38. And Winona State's Caitlin Long continues to be the gold standard in the weight throw, heaving at nearly 72.5 feet, the second longest throw in Division II history. Minnesota State won both the men's and women's team championships, and 39 individual athletes qualified for nationals, taking place in Pittsburgh, Kansas next week. Well, when we come back, it's DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week in the NSIC.
The Northern Sun Experience on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to the Northern Sun Experience here at the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls. Once again, a thank you to everyone here for putting on another great NSIC tournament. It's their 3rd year in a row hosting it, and they continue to do a first-rate job. Well, now it's time for DB's Picks, my top 5 plays of the past week. At number 5, it's Augustana's number 5 with a little flair. Sophie Kenny suddenly finds an open lane and decides to go with the reverse layup against Winona State. Here it is again. Kenny didn't really need to go reverse, but it's still fun to watch at number 5. For number 4, it's another reverse, only this time from MSU Moorhead's Tanner Kretschmann. He drives inside against Upper Iowa and puts it off glass for 2. The sophomore standout was named to the NSIC All-Tournament team, and plays like this should keep him there for years to come. At number 3, U Mary is right on cue. In the final seconds, Q Edwards puts up a ridiculous left-handed shot to tie things up against Minnesota State. Take another look in slow motion. Edwards drives inside and puts up a lefty rainbow that somehow goes in. That sent U Mary's quarterfinal game into overtime, where they would eventually prevail. But they wouldn't even be in that position without Q's heroics at number 3. For number 2, it's another clutch shot in crunch time. Down by 1 in the final seconds of overtime, Sophie Kenny hits the elbow jumper with 2.5 seconds left to top Winona State in the semifinals. After the Warriors took the lead back with just 11 seconds to go, Kenny goes isolation on Connor Nagel and steps back for the game-winning 2 at number 2. But our number 1 play goes to Sioux Falls' Taylor Varsho for the touchdown pass to Allison Klostergaard. The NSIC Player of the Year is known mainly for her scoring, but she provided some touch against Augustana's press in the championship. Varsho led USF to its first NSIC title in school history, earned tournament MVP honors, and capped off the trifecta with the number 1 play of the past week. Once again, a thank you to all of our NSIC member schools for their time and contributions, and a big thank you again to the Sanford Pentagon, an outstanding NSIC basketball tournament. Once again, Augustana is your men's champion, Sioux Falls is your women's champion. We'll have a complete Central Region preview for both the men and the women on next week's Northern Sun Experience.